What new hobbies have you picked up this year and would you recommend them to others? Walks. Got a problem? Go for a walk. Got a dog? Go for a walk. Just ate? Go for a walk. Just been shot? Walk it off. Walkies. Are you a dog? This is so my husband. We just got a puppy and I swear it's his excuse to get out of anything he doesn't want to do. Screaming kids. Dog needs a walk. Cleaning up dinner. Dog needs a walk. Uncomfortable conversation. OS. The dog needs a walk. I'd like to go for more walks. But Texas. Gardening and learning to play the guitar. Both are therapeutic. I've been learning guitar also. Experimenting with cooking. Following a recipe online that you found is also good. But there's just an extra layer of enjoyment and discovery to be had when I tried to work things out on my own, especially when ingredients are limited. It's like a puzzle you can eat. The main point to not let not perfect overshadow good enough. You probably aren't going to be winning any awards with your first few attempts, but that doesn't mean what you created isn't special in its own right. Got serious into reading. You really learn many things from books. Any recommendations? I've been lock-picking. It takes sustained mental focus, which has been nice to get the mind off of all that's going in. Plus, if the apocalypse comes, I'll have a useful skill, which is a bonus. How do you start this? Prepping for September. Archery. It's a lot of fun and an excellent way to clear your mind. I fully agree with your statement. I absolutely love it. What type of bow is your go-to? Where? How can I start? It seems intimidating. Sewing. I lost my grandma this year and she used to sew and knit a lot. I was given her sewing machine, so whenever I use it I feel closer to her slightly smiling face. Edit. Thank you so much to everyone for the wishes, advice and awards. It's been a little overwhelming, but I'm so thankful to everyone for all their comments. This year has been so stressful. Losing my grandma, doing my final year law exams and cutting out a friend of 10 years. All within the space of 2 months. So all the support means the world to me. Heart. Started learning languages. Recommend it for sure. I agree. But you have to commit a lot more once you get to the intermediate level. One think. I did Babbel and Duolingo. I blew through Duolingo and Babbel was a bit better. But eventually, you get to the end and you're still not fluent. Now I've been reading books I know well in English and Spanish like Harry Potter. Reading the dialogue out loud. And explaining the plot to my dog in Spanish on dog walks. It's been really helpful. Started meditating this year, almost at 100 days in a row. I would recommend, but I would start easy with just 5 minutes in a session and build your way up over time. What does your meditation consist of? Thought you said started meditating. Can't really call it a hobby, but for the past month since COVID started and classes are suspended, I enrolled myself in free online classes such as photography, editing, art, etc. It's nice to have a little hand of skills and knowledge when the time comes. Where do you take these classes? I misread photography as pornography and was like, duh, they got online classes for everything these days. Analog photography. Fun to get a cheap camera and not really cheap film. Send to develop and practice exposing photos. Or buy some B&W films and develop them by yourself in your basement. Smile with a halo. Definitely read that as anal photography. Tears of joy. Happy Cake Day. Dungeons and Dragons. It's practically therapeutic in nature. It's actually helped me a lot throughout the confinement. I've been playing D&D since 1991, and I'm so jazzed that it's become so popular. Enjoy. Genuinely curious. Is there a method for getting started with D&D in quarantine? Any good ways to find people online to play with? Same here. I feel like D&D has ballooned during lockdown. Great excuse to talk with your mates for 3 to 4 hours. I started keeping fish shortly before COVID hit, and that has been a really good experience. We got into it with a small betta tank, but now we have a 75-gallon freshwater tank and a 20-gallon reef tank. It's taught me a little about hydroponics, plumbing, water chemistries, and animal care. Hey, I started right before COVID too. I started with a couple guppies in a 12-gallon long. Now I have a 30-gallon and that 12-gallon still. It's been a really fun hobby. I started doing yoga and would definitely recommend it. It's good for you. Are you using a website or something? Crocheting. Edit. I also picked up on Lego architecture sets. I'm currently building Buckingham Palace, but can't find a stud piece. With crocheting, I'm currently making a scarf. Same here. Was frustrating at first, but the end products look cool. I've finally figured out single crochet this year and I'm using up my cotton yarn stash to make washcloths. It's been very satisfying. I've been collecting rocks and crystals for a while, but I've finally gotten a tumbler and started polishing them. The end results are cool to see, but the process takes a month or more depending on the type of stone. So if you're a deeply impatient person, or a perfectionist, you have very little control over how the stones turn out and there will be flaws. I don't know if I'd recommend it. They're minerals, Marie. Not really a hobby, but I've actually been staying on top of my uni workload instead of doing everything last minute. It has been nice. Yay, I'm gonna have to learn to do that too. I start uni in about a week. Not a hobby cause it's more like a superpower. I am very close to failing, and if I do pass through to my second year, it will be me scraping through. So I ask you, what are the best steps to take in order to get to that stage? Calligraphy is fun. It improves your handwriting and forgery. Handwriting. Oh, that's nice. Forgery. Now hold on a second. I started watching Bob Ross' The Joy of Painting videos. I followed along to a handful of them, but did it in Photoshop rather than actually paint. His voice is super relaxing and I get into such a state of content and zen. I highly recommend it. It's one of the handful of things that have helped reduce a little of my anxiety this year. Started complimenting men. Few things are cuter than a grown man getting tickled pink because you said his favorite hat looked cool. I'm a woman. I learned from another Reddit post that men don't get compliments, so I decided to change that. It was hard at first because I'm usually shy, but it got gradually easier and now I just point out things on all people that I think are nice and it's become as easy as breathing. You're doing God's work.